Unbelievable scene at D.C. wedding last night right after Trump and Pence showed up. It was a star-studded event. That isn't something you often hear about a cabinet member's wedding, but that was certainly the case this past weekend at the Washington, D.C. wedding of Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin and Scottish actress Louise Linton. President Trump and Vice President Pence attended with their wives Melania Trump and Karen Pence. It was the vice president who officiated the wedding that took place at Washington's Andrew W. Mellon Auditorium. It is a historic venue very close to the National Mall, which is located right next to the Capitol and House and Senate office buildings. The First Lady's office noted that she wore a Gilles Mendel silk chiffon gown along with Manolo Blahnik pumps. Approximately 300 guests were in attendance at the festivities and ceremony. However, the president and the vice president were not the only politicians who showed up. Press Secretary Sean Spicer and wife Rebecca Miller attended, as well as Housing and Urban Development Secretary Ben Carson and Secretary of Veteran Affairs David Shulkin. First daughter Ivanka Trump and her husband Jared Kushner also showed up. This is the second marriage for the bride and the third for the groom. Mnuchin is a wealthy man, especially considering he paid for a wedding for over 300 people. He is reportedly worth more than $300 million. Which makes it no shock why the wedding was so beautiful. The bride had bought a custom-made dress by designer Ines DeSanto, whom she worked directly with to create. The bridesmaids wore light peach dresses with statement neckline necklaces and sequin straps. They all carried white bouquets. The happy couple had dated for some time but had met 4 years prior. The bride said the following about her engagement ring: "It's quite an old-fashioned shape, but I love it. 3 years later he proposed to me with an oval ring just like the one we saw in the window. Then he came to the event after being bussed in from the Trump International Hotel, which is not far from the wedding location near the National Mall. Reportedly, there were bagpipers and ballerinas at the reception. Not surprising considering the bride is from Scotland." The wedding had remained a secret until a close friend of theirs, Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, spilled the secret by accident. They likely wanted to keep it a secret because the media would have been all over the event and given them no privacy. The Washington Post reported, "The marriage will be the latest high-profile nuptials for Trump administration officials, and the Trump International Hotel in Washington has so far been the preferred space." Omarosa Manigault, a political aide in the White House and a Trump Apprentice alumni, married John Allen Newman, a pastor, there in April. Ms. Linton declined to share the names of guests but said that many from administration would be among about 300 guests expected to attend. One confirmed guest is the designer Ines DeSanto of Toronto, who flew to Washington in April to design a custom wedding gown. Veronica DeSanto Abramovich, Ms. DeSanto's business partner and daughter, said in a phone interview that her mother had made a very grand dress for a very feminine bride. Ms. Linton said she and Mr. Mnuchin, who live in a $12.6 million house in the city's Massachusetts Avenue Heights neighborhood, have enjoyed the transition to Washington, where they have walked their dogs in Rock Creek Park and can ride their bicycles to Mount Vernon on the weekends. As Treasury Secretary, Mr. Mnuchin has become more prominent as financial battles linger for the Trump administration. He has said that his first priority is to get tax reform passed this year, and is playing a key role in urging Congress to raise the debt ceiling. Ms. Linton, whose affinity for an old Hollywood aesthetic, including white blonde hair and the occasional bold red lips, cuts a distinct figure in Washington, seems similarly focused on her career as an actress. On Instagram, she often posts photos of red carpet appearances and photos from the set. It is nice to see people from the administration enjoying themselves after all the hard work they have been doing in recent months. But Lord knows Democrats will likely find something to complain about. Despite what the mainstream liberal media might say, it is clear that the president is making friends in Washington, D.C. Otherwise, he and his family would not have been invited.